Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Mr. Travels, and today I decided to visit, some homegrown features in Virginia, Northern Virginia to be exact. And so right now I'm at Mount Vernon, home to George Washington, and right now I'm on the side of where the slave cemetery and the slave memorial is at, which is overlooking the Potomac River. Just got done with the tour of Mount Vernon itself, the actual mansion. I would say it's pretty humbling. Um, a lot of mixed emotions and things of that nature that, when I actually sit down, I'll actually be able to, talk to you guys and, just how I feel about the tour, the lifestyle of George Washington and, great or bad or, all the things of that nature. And like I said, these are my personal opinions. I'm not going to get too involved in it, but yeah, so make sure you guys stay tuned. And I'll see you guys when I get back to the lab. So right now, guys, I want you to see what I see. That's why I got the camera facing away from me. But we're walking actually down to the wharf that sits right on the Potomac. I believe down here, they have a farm and they also have the slave quarters. So I want to make sure you guys get a chance to look at that as well. So it's a nice little stroll. As you can see, the sun's out, shimmering on the Potomac. It's beautiful.
Hey, yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to Travels of Preston. So today's episode, I wanted to actually start doing what I said I was going to do a few weeks ago, and that is explore America, right? I'm always harping on international travel. So this time, I was like, hey, for 2021, I want to start doing some things in America. So what better place to do it in the DMV area, which is Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. So, of course, I reside in Virginia. So I was like, oh, well, let me start in Virginia. Because since, the colonies and the nation's capital here, it's a lot of historical sites just up and down the East Coast in general. So today's episode, I was like, hey, let me go down to George Washington, Mount Vernon, to check out his mansion. So in going to his mansion, this is my first time. Been living in this area forever, but I was like, I ain't never been. So I've heard good things, like my kids went on field trips to it and they said they liked it. Obviously they're, young, so they don't get the significance of it. But so I was like, let me just go. So I actually went, and let me say, I was blown away just by how people really, praise George Washington like he's some great person, whatever. But I mean, I'm not gonna say he was a bad person, but he did some things that I was like, I can't really rock with you.
So while we're walking, I just want to make sure I tell you guys, if you ever visit Mount Vernon, so a lot of areas you can't talk in, just out of respect of, what happened here, who's buried here, things of that nature. The tour guide will actually tell you, you can't take videos and you can take pictures inside the mansion. They just ask for you to actually not talk and no flash. So make sure you guys, be respectful of that. Oh, this is nice. Let's take a little closer gander at the wharf.
So going there, you got to walk the whole entire grounds. You have access to pretty much his whole estate. And that's all the way from the mansion area, which has, farms and fields of grass or whatever. Then you have a wharf, and then you have the slave area. So the first thing is, when you go to Mount Vernon, you have to actually get a ticket for the mansion tour. So the mansion tour is literally maybe 30 minutes. Like you don't really see too much. You don't go upstairs, anything like that. The tour starts right outside on the front, and you just kind of make your way around the mansion. So you go through like the living room, dining room. You can actually see the kitchen. You can see the stairs that go upstairs, but outside of that, not too much to the house. Colonial house, so it has a lot of historical, paintings and furniture. Obviously, some of the stuff have been replaced, and they actually they will tell you that like everything in the house is not, you know, uh, I guess authentic is the word I want to look for. It's not authentic, so they tell you that up front, and they replace a lot of things. But the interesting thing about the house is, even back then, I guess George Washington wanted his house to look a certain way. So it's all made by wood, but how they did it was they looked like cinder blocks in the front. But if you touch it, you'd be like, "Oh, this is not cinder blocks." So they actually explained that very well in on the tour. I wish I could have got to record that, but they told me you can't record obviously the whole tour because obviously they would lose money. I'll just throw it on the internet. But I did take some pictures and stuff like that. I did try to record a little bit here and there when it was allowed, but like I said, the mansion is not that big. But I mean, for that time period, he said it was one of the biggest houses, in the region. So a lot of people was in awe, when you riding up in your carriage or whatever, horseback, and you see George Washington's house, you're like, damn. Now, the interesting thing is something I did not know is that he had a copier machine in his office, in his study. So, which blew my mind. I was like, damn, they actually thought about copier machines, back in the 1700s. So, obviously it's not the copy machine that you think of today, but it was like a little, I don't know how to explain it, but like a little box. And when you write on it, it presses against another sheet and it actually duplicates, the document. So I thought that was pretty ingenious. I was like, damn, that's pretty smart. And the other thing he had a swivel chair. I was like, damn. So he actually was able to pivot and swivel, stuff like that. So I thought that was pretty ingenious. Obviously, he didn't, invent it, but he had the I guess the know-how to get somebody to do it and put it in his house. So obviously, that was a big thing. That was a big selling point to his office. And then, like you said, you go to his kitchen. It's very, I guess at the time, modern kitchen. A real big fire pit in there. You got the stone fireplace that I guess you just cook your all your victuals. So I think that was pretty cool. So the part that I really liked and enjoyed was actually going to the slave area. So that was very humbling.
So this was actually the barn, and where we're going now is the actual slave cabin, as you can see starting up here. So I guess they didn't have to travel far for their job. So you have to walk your ass all the way to the other side to the mansion, to the big house, as they say.
So the part that I really liked and enjoyed was actually going to the slave area. So that was very humbling just to see. They have like a replica of a slave house on the backside of the estate, like near the water. And like, I almost felt myself want to, tear up on that part because, I mean, you just look at it and be like, damn, like how many people were in this, in this little, hut or whatever you want to call it. And they had like a very, very small farm area. That's what they can grow their own food. So it's like, not only did they have to grow food for, their owners, then they had to grow food for themselves. So, which really sucks, and that's like I say, it's a very touchy subject with me when it comes to slavery.
It's very humbling, sunrise to sunset. "318 enslaved people." Damn. Got a little farm area, I guess, where they can grow their own food after they worked hard as hell for the master. Slave cabin.
Like I said, the farm area is right next to the Potomac River, which they actually have a wharf. I guess when they used to bring in, fresh, goods and stuff like that, they used to come right off the Potomac River. So that was pretty cool. And like I said, you can actually see Washington D.C. from his house. So it's probably obviously at the time when buildings and trees and stuff like that wasn't all developed like that. You probably could see a little further into the scenery of DC, but you can get a real good view of it. So his land is very big at the time. It's acres upon acres of land, and then you get to walk the whole grounds. So where he was originally buried at, they have that on the side of the house. So he has a little, I don't know what it's called, but crypt or whatever. So where him and his wife and several other family members were buried at. And then because he's George Washington, they moved him, well, upon his wishes, he wanted to be moved to an actual better location to be buried at. So they buried him originally at this one area where you can see. Then they moved him over to this other place, and they have two little obelisks in front of his little burial area. Him and his wife, Martha, they're buried together. He's on the right side, and then she's on the left side. So they're buried in there. Then the rest of their family members are still buried in the original crypt. So, wild part of it is like maybe like a 1 minute walk from where he's buried, there is a memorial for the slaves. And I'm like, which is crazy to me. Like, oh, you want to have a memorial for the people that you owned? I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. Thanks. So they have a couple of them buried, they're actually still buried there. And then through the years, they actually found like a bunch of, grave sites on the estate where they actually did not touch them. They left them there buried. It's bad luck, obviously, to be disturbing the dead. So they left them there. They just, like I said, they just erected a memorial for them. And the memorial is very simple. Just the whole story of, the slaves is just so sad to me. To like most others, I'm not to assume. But they have a actual, I have a pamphlet of it, enslaved people of Mount Vernon. They have an actual like little museum tour of that. It's all self-guided. So you can, see it and, just soak it in. And they tell the stories of different various slaves that were there, women, children, men, and what they did there and things of that nature. This was very touching when you read some of the stories about how slaves are trying to, run away and they got captured. So they had to deal with that whole thing. And like apparently George Washington was very notorious on his keeping you in line methods. And one of the things I thought was very interesting is that for whatever reason, they don't like the word slaves. So they deem that it's not politically correct to say a slave. So they called it, like I said, enslaved people instead of the word slave. To me, it means the same thing, but hey, it's 2021. So I guess, nobody wants to be called a slave. They want to be called enslaved. So in total, George Washington had about 318 slaves. I think he had about 7 or 8 indentured servants. And he had a couple people, like family members that worked there too. So, but he had like a clerk office, a little grocery store type deal. Obviously he had a few barns to keep the horses. You get to see his Cadillac of carriages is still there, which was pretty cool to see. And, like I said, just a very humbling experience, and it's all in all. So, and I wanted to make the video, but like I said, because I think it's very important for people to, to see their past. Whether you lived in this area or whether, you have any, even if you're not from America, you should still see America's past. You don't want to just be like, oh, well, I just want to, I want all the good stuff. No, you should know our history as well. Just like when we come to your country, we should find out where you guys came from and things of that nature so we can respect it as well. So I did take some good shots, some good GoPro videos of just walking around and just so you can see the landscape, how the sun was hitting off the Potomac, which is absolutely gorgeous. The Potomac itself is nasty, but from the grassy knoll, it looks very beautiful. I wouldn't touch it, but like I said, they have a map of the grounds. So as you can see, it looks very quite large. You get to walk the whole thing. There's no time limit. So the only thing that's timed is the actual mansion tour. That's timed. You cannot talk inside the mansion, so if you have any questions, they do have to wait to after you get outside. So the tour guide, he will leave you inside the house and he'll just step right outside the doorway just so he can speak to you. So when like I said, when you get inside, there's no questions, no talking. You can take pictures, but you cannot use flash. So that was a good thing, because I know I've been places, other museums and things of that nature, where they say, hey, no pictures, no anything. I'm like, so now you want me to rely on my memory? You know what I'm saying? The older I get, I'll be like, damn, where I go last week? So like I said, it's very humbling. Like I said, this is the inside of the pamphlet, and then you can read stories about, this is Tom, how he was a slave, that he got freed. He was inherited by Martha Washington descendants. Crazy. Like I said, you get to read all the stories about the women, the children. And like I said, I wanted to bring, I will be bringing more episodes like this, because I'm just about to start hitting it, where I'm going to go to like Gettysburg, and I'm going to go to Monticello, where Thomas Jefferson, who was notorious for doing a lot of wild things with his slaves. I want to go to his residency. I'm just going to go to just various locations like the Shenandoah Valley, a lot of, like, even the Fredericksburg, which is not well known, but Fredericksburg has a lot of historical sites for World War II, for the Civil War. Like, this area has a lot of Civil War battlefields, like Bull Run and things of that nature. So I'm definitely going to start recording those type of things and visiting and taking tours, and I'm just going to bring it all to you, so way you can see what I see, and hopefully you get involved and go places like that. So, but before I get out of here, I want to make sure that I let you guys know, hey, make sure you like and subscribe and leave a comment below. All right, to let me know that you've been here. And, even in the comments, you can just let me know what you want to see in the future. If you can't get out or you're not from this area, you can say, hey, Preston, do you mind going up to, say, taking a tour of like Washington, D.C., or, hey, what are some of the best restaurants? So I'm going to bring all this stuff to you in the next coming episodes. All right. So I want to make sure you guys stay tuned. And I guess I'll holler at you next Monday. Peace.